Let's be honest, companies have taken advantage of their people, especially low-level employees.
To maintain being in the business side of things.
Because they could, and they actually had attitudes like, if you don't like it here, get a job somewhere else.
There are some people that rise to leadership positions that have no business being there. They lack the emotional intelligence and they demonstrate poor leadership traits.
And we didn't treat people as human beings, we treated them as line items, disposable line items.
Just being like a robot that is being programmed about what and what not to do based on the authorities' expectations than that of a human being who has the freedom of speech and can be more intentional with actions and choices.
Poor leaders scold you in front of your colleagues. They give you feedback in such a way that makes you just want to quit on the spot.
It was just years and years of abuse and mistreatment. I felt like this wasn't fair to me. I've been working really hard for these people, sacrificing.
All of these are bundled up in a pathological package, which then further diminishes your self-esteem and makes you hate your life and yourself.
But all of this is just half the story. Not everyone is leaving because of unemployment benefits from their government, or because they have to care for a child or an elderly at home, or because their family has relocated during the pandemic. The elephant in the room is work-life balance.
And that balance got more and more and more tipped, and now what we're experiencing is a great correction.
20% spoke about the lack of flexibility.
And they can't get time off.
I realized that being part of an organization can take so much power.
For example, my husband passed away in 2015, and I called and said that I needed a week off, and they told me how inconvenient it was and that it wasn't going to work out.
We thought my daughter had cancer at one point, and I was at work. I couldn't leave. And they were like, oh, well, if you leave, it's going to be a write-up.
And is considered an insubordination in the eyes of a manager.
At that point, I was just like, you know what? I parked my forklift, got off of it. I said, do what you got to do. Left. Then my grandmother passed. And then my grandfather. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
Just didn't get to go to my grandpa's funeral.
You see, for years, our lives have revolved around our work. We planned our week based on our work calendar. We met people only over weekends. We socialized only on off days. We skipped weddings for work. We prioritized work meetings over parent-teacher meetings. We compromised on vacations to save on paid leaves. The pandemic has changed all of this. It held up the mirror. It forced people to see the unpredictability of life.
Surrounded by death and illness during the pandemic, Josh, like many, started to feel that life was passing him by.
To reflect on what really matters to them.
Having a sense of purpose.
Many realized it's not work, or at least not their present work.
People awakening from the dream that these systems have the intention or the ability to provide you with any kind of happiness.
I told myself that it's about time to get my act together again if I want to live longer and happier.
All they're going to do is keep you trapped on that hamster wheel as long as you can fulfill your 10, 8, 12-hour obligation to them for the minimum amount they can pay you.
That's a sad truth that most people are just continuing to ignore just so they can keep up with pursuing short-term gratifications, certainty, and comfort for the most part of their lives. I can either continue to keep this job and disregard my personal values, or choose to be publicly humiliated after quitting and get paid 0 to less than my professional income.
Question you may be asking: how can so many people afford to resign? It's not simply that people are resigning.
Where are they going?
It's more of a turnover situation.
Millions began reimagining their lives. Percentage of LinkedIn members who updated their profiles and found a job has increased 54% year on year. Gen Z switched the most. Their job transition increased 80%. Millennials were next, then Gen X, and finally the boomers. There are currently 10 million job openings in the United States. Germany needs at least 400,000 workers.
People have options. And because they have options, their demands and their interests and their tolerance for things that are not aligned with their values on how they want to live their lives, they're going to leave and they're going to look for it elsewhere.
And start living a more meaningful and truthful existence.
Many quit full-time jobs and began freelancing. They realized they want to spend more time at home or with family. Many turned their hobbies into full-time jobs because why not?
Sam Weston is living off savings as he pursues writing and a freelance career in filmmaking.
And thanks to COVID, says, I don't want to be treated this way, and I'd rather have no job than this job.
Seems like a risky way to stay afloat.
It is risky, but it's better than working for somebody else who doesn't care for your health and well-being and who won't give you a leg up to actually do something that feels meaningful.
It's okay to make less money doing something that you love.
They realize life is too short to stick it out in the wrong career.
That realization is like lifting a heavy weight out of my chest that I had been dragging around for years.
I initially left because I wasn't finding fulfillment from my 9-to-5 job, and I saw that there was so much opportunity outside of the basic 9-to-5 corporate world that I really wanted to get into. It wasn't just that I was overworked and burnt out and all the mental health struggles I was dealing with. It was actually because the job I was in was just not the right one for me.
I asked myself if being a nurse or even being an employee is really the right fit for me. I also asked myself if living from paycheck to paycheck in a job where productivity is being more valued than creativity is really the right path I want to be in for the rest of my life. The clear answer to that is no.
Even if you obviously need money in order to survive, why should you do a job that you don't enjoy? Why should you?
Out of fear of losing comfort, security, and an ideal identity that is being defined based on others' opinions.
Staying in a role that's just not healthy for you is going to affect your time, your money, your career trajectory, and the relationships around you. And if it's the career and not necessarily the company that's causing you the stress, that's an indicator that maybe you need to try something different.
Because the consequence of low job satisfaction makes you more susceptible to mental health issues. And the longer you stay in that job, the worse your mental health gets. I can validate this statement based on my personal experience and observation on others who went through and who are going through this similar situation.
Their burnout might not even be because they're overworked. It might be because they're misaligned in the job that they're in.
I hate my job. I get paid well, and I can take almost unlimited overtime shifts if I want to, which can even make my bank account happy. But having this type of job is really clashing with how I'd like to live my life. And I know that so many people feel the same way to some extent.
People today don't want their lives to revolve around their jobs anymore. They want their jobs to fit into the kind of life they want to live.
I started being brutally honest to myself.
Increasingly, I feel the systems that we live within are unable to meet us where we're at. People, I believe, are starting to think, hold on a minute, I could live an entirely different life. This system isn't working for me.
A system that's designed to make me a living, but not necessarily fulfilling and humanizing.
Van life, stepping outside, communal living, all these things that have long been dismissed are starting to resurge and seem more attractive simply because the systems are crumbling, have become greedy and are unable to keep together a critical mass of people in order to sustain stasis.
After years of looking inward, I realized that seeking the truth and living the life I truly want to live is more important to me than any external rewards to be truly happy.
A parent who's raising a child wants a job where he or she can take time off every day to drop the little one to soccer.
Data analyst Ricardo Martynas simply found a better fit.
I wound up finding a company that said, we understand family comes first.
Nursing supervisor Kalina Surma.
I resigned for a better position in pay and seemingly a better situation with staffing and everything, more control that I'll have over that.
Cleaner Alicia Bowen's sister hooked her up with a much better gig.
She works for a bank and they had a cleaning position open, paying $4 more an hour with the 401k benefits, and I don't have to drive my car.
Alex started looking for a job that wasn't customer-facing.
That's actually a good note.
He got an offer from a local manufacturing company here in Kentucky.
The year the pandemic struck, 1.4 million startups were registered in the US. India added 1,600 startups in the tech sector alone.
Tech worker Mark Sen got a job right away, but like quite a few resigners, he also has entrepreneurial ambitions.
My new role has given me opportunities to work on my startup, make more money, and it's full-time remote, so I'm able to be at home and really invest in my home space.
Josh Hoff quit to start his own business. The former forklift driver recently launching Bourbon City taxi service in Bardstown, Kentucky.
Many locked up their city homes and moved to suburbs. They realized they don't want to wait until retirement for greener pastures.
Librarian Johnson and her husband, a paramedic, decided to quit their jobs earlier than planned for a new life on a farm.
Prior to COVID, fear of the unknown was enough to keep somebody in an okay job. And then COVID happened, and some people were furloughed, some people lost their jobs, some people didn't lose their jobs, but they were filled with fear, and we made it through. And so all of a sudden, the unknown, a lot less scary, because I made it. And so when you give me fine and you offer me unknown, I'll take unknown.
Fears will always exist, but it's all about having the courage to overcome those fears, regardless of any circumstances or outcomes. Because at the end of the day, the most common regrets are not the ones we did, but rather the things we didn't.
It's a legacy of the pandemic. It gave people a newfound respect for themselves and their life.
Living with a meaningful purpose, like having a fulfilling job, often leads to deeper levels of joy and contentment.
Today, I feel liberated. There's so much more to life.
And not feel the need to buy a bigger house or a new car just because your neighbor did.
Because of this, most people just tolerate the life they don't really want to live, just so other people will like them and just fit in.
You don't have to keep up with the Joneses.
Trust me, I bought so many things just to impress my friends, and because I want to fit in and ignore my needs so I can meet others' needs and live up to others' expectations and suppress my own. New clothes, gadgets, shoes, bags, etc. And those indeed impressed my friends and provided me with a short burst of happiness. But after a day or two, I was back to being depressed again, especially after checking my bank account, and especially after realizing that I was simply using the validation from my friends to gratify my desire of being liked for what I have and not for who I am. This misery soon became a bridge to the realization that I was ignoring impermanence and not having enough time to smell the roses.
Don't fear being judged by people just because you don't have that great job title.
Because vulnerability takes courage and humility. So they would rather suppress their real emotions and remain silently in despair. I realized that the need for conditional acceptance is never a good reason to be invisible.
I was scared that I wouldn't qualify for anything else, or scared that it wouldn't work out. I get stuck in this. I feel like I don't deserve any better.
I was scared of wasting money, time, or effort.
Don't look back at the end of your life and see unfulfilled dreams or chances that you didn't take.
I fear regret more than I fear failure.
I decided to have thought patterns that serve me better, rather than just live my life solely around making money, and use my job as a distraction to emotionally numb myself from my desire of escaping the rat race. So I was sweeping all of my dreams under the rug because I was hopeless and so afraid of taking even tiny actions that can incrementally make my dreams turn into realities.
I knew I would regret staying as a corporate lawyer and only helping large, faceless corporations get richer and not helping the actual people who need my help.
Don't be so busy making a living in days that were just wasted away.
I'm sad I got so caught up in this work culture. I will never get those hours back, no matter what I do or what I accomplish for the rest of my life.
I was basically being blinded by my desire to earn more money and disregard my personal values and health.
That you forget to actually make a life.
I forgot that time is the most valuable asset we have.
Because life is so short.
Memento mori is a simple but profound Latin phrase that translates to remember, you must die. I didn't say that to be morbid or sound dramatic, but I said that as a reminder of how short this life really is, and keeping in mind that life is just a temporary experience that most people just overlook. This taught me how to be more grateful, fearless, humble, essentialist, and present among thousands of life lessons.
I know that I've always cared so much about what people thought of me.
The degree of caring and not caring is, of course, dependent on your self-awareness, values, desires,
just do it!
and willingness to change.
And I've always followed this path of what I thought society wanted me to do.
Just because of the fear of being misunderstood and ridiculed, just to name a couple.
People want you to follow this set path, and there's a lot of pressure to do that. I had so many people tell me I would fail on my own. What I realize is that when you are trying to stray from that path, people will be very vocal about what they think you can't do. They will be quick to tell you that you're going to fail. They'll project their own insecurities onto you.
Others might even think that I'm such an idiot for even trying, because I'm not skilled enough to be successful on YouTube. It's laughable for some people, and that's okay. They're entitled to laugh or react in any way, shape, or form.
But very few people, if any, will be vocal about what they think you can do. Very few people are going to be willing to stand up for you. No one is ever going to believe in you more than you believe in yourself. You have to be your own advocate.
The first step is to overcome that fear by having the right mindset. In fact, I'll make them laugh even more as I upload more videos, because I know that I am pushing myself towards the right direction, even just inch by inch, each day. It's a work in progress, and everything is a process. Whether you're trying to lose weight, become an author, play an instrument, and so it's a process to become a successful YouTuber.
I started from $0 in January and wanted to show that making passive income in just a year is possible. So in just this year, I've made over $100,000 from YouTube and built a course to show others the way. And I was in Business Insider, CNBC, US News, and Inc. magazine. So stop doubting yourself. Don't lose sight of your why, and you can absolutely do it. And this next year is all yours for the taking.
I have a dream, that's all I need. I'll make it happen with some work and belief. Know what I want, so I'll take it on. I'll make mistakes, but mistakes make you strong. Let's break it down for a minute. I want the crown, I'm gon' get it. You hear me loud, man, I'm winning. Yeah, Charlie Sheen will be great.